care about the future, cause they live it in the past. Sal and Kurt are taking all 5 seasons of Blossom to task. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be weak in the knees. This show's got more range than Nick on the keys. Only gal in the house, and that's how she goes. One brother was a junkie and the other one was. Weekly lessons coming fast in the Russo flat. Blossom's teenage girl problems are as big as her hat. So take your opinionations and make them shine. It's the OK Bloomer podcast, and it's about damn time.
Don't know. Don't know.
All right, we're off.
Let's get into this, Curtis.
I had a little seance. I lit some candles. I read from the Bible, so my audio demons are going to be gone this week. We're going to have good audio from me, I promise. This is going to be the week.
This is it, eh? Week 8?
Nothing goes wrong.
All right. Let's get right into it, Curtis.
Jump.
We got a lot to talk about today.
I have never been as excited to talk about an episode of Blossom as I am tonight. Episode 8. Like, someone dropped a bomb on the Russo house, practically, or dropped a bomb on the writing cast. Something.
Something happened, because this episode was magic.
Right? This is the formula. I want every episode to be like this from now on.
I agree. Season 1, Episode 8, titled The Geek, first aired February 25th, 1991.
Full disclosure, I was dreading this episode. It's called The Geek.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, where can they possibly go with this? Right? Little did I know.
It's a fair assumption.
Little did I know
Get
how
ready.
life-changing this episode would be. Strap in, man. Do you like adventures? Let's go on one.
All right, I'm in. Let us begin. So, Disney Plus. Blossom accepts a date with the school geek.
Period.
That's it.
I hate this guy. I want to find this guy. This is going to be the new place to go with this podcast, is I have to find this guy and interview him on this podcast.
That's the real deep dive that we're going to do, for sure.
How little did you care about your job putting these things together for Disney Plus? Disney Plus, of all things. Is that like the number 1 streaming platform currently? It's got to be 1 or 2.
It's up there.
I'd say. Would you say it's more popular than Netflix? No. But probably in a few years, I feel like Netflix is going to lose so much steam as all the actual content creators pull their original content off to have their own streaming service. I feel like Netflix is going to take a hit.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the market is starting to get kind of oversaturated, but Disney Plus keeps coming out with bangers, man. So.
Oh, man. Yeah. So one day I will talk to the man or woman putting together the Blossom Season 1 anyway synopsis and ask him, what the hell?
We're going to find out who you are.
Why are you dead inside?
All
okay,
right.
We got the crap one out of the way. What does the good one say?
All right, so the good one. Blossom blames herself for getting tricked into a date for the homecoming dance with a school geek. Joey wants to get his driver's license.
Okay.
All right, well, let's just move on. I don't really have much to say about it this week.
No, I'm like shaking trying to get through this intro because I want to just jam the shovel into the dirt and start digging.
All right, well, take us away, man.
It asks me to skip intro. Never. As she straddles the chair and dips back, this week I avert my eyes to a new place, and it's on her bedside table. There's an old-style, wind-up round alarm clock with the 2 bells on the top, and I think that's already completely vintage for 1991.
That's true.
And my heart isn't into the intro gig this week because it is written by... Okay, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead. Okay, we start with the exterior of the school. I feel like this shot is a result between... It's the result of a fight between the producers and the camera op union, because we see this constantly now after like episode 4. We've seen it every episode. It's like they were like, Smitty, just can you walk outside the soundstage? You get a locked off shot of the school across the street. And Smitty was like, no, Teamster handbook says if you sent me out, you have to pay me for at least 3 hours. And they're like, all right, fine, whatever, just get it. And then it became a thing, and now they use it every week. We've been seeing that exterior lots. Okay, it's homecoming. And let's get into the credits, because this is where I want to go. This is my uppercut. Okay.
All right, let's get to it.
Paul Perlov is the supervising producer. That doesn't mean anything yet, but it's about to mean something. Wow. John Zifrin is the producer, and this one was written by the duo of Brenda Hampton Kane and William C. Kenny.
Okay.
I could not get over how different this was, and took the time and I went back and I rewatched the credits of the first 7 episodes to see who wrote these things. Because as we mentioned last week, it was like the writers leapfrog each other, and you're starting to see patterns of like different episodes having the same themes and are clearly not written by the same people. So,
Right.
episode 1, the pilot, was written by someone named Rachel Rizot Sharf. Sharf. Yeah. She also wrote last week's episode 7. So where are we with that? We liked the pilot, and last week's episode was the one where they went to the cabin, correct?
Yes.
Both solid episodes.
Yeah.
Both had the like heart-to-heart moments and really explored the family dynamics.
And
So
it
I
was
believe
really
that's what-
really heavy on missing the mother.
Yeah, so that's what Rosette Schaefer brings to the table. She's got the mom issues. Okay. Episode 2, we'll get back to, because that was the one we hated.
Yeah.
Episode 3,
Dad's girlfriend. It was the one with Elaine.
yes. Okay, so that was written by Judith D. Allison, who
Okay.
never wrote another episode. So I don't know what her issue was. Then episodes 4 and 5 were written by Paul Perlov himself. And those were the ones that were just like taking random shots at anything that moved. So Paul Perlov is the guy bringing the angst and deep-seated inferiority
Yeah.
and anger issues to the show. Episode 6, Sal, no writer credit.
What?
It's blank. There were no writers
No one claimed
for
it.
episode 6. No one claimed episode 6. I don't know what to tell you about that.
You're going really deep into this.
I even went to like the IMDb, and no writer is credited even on IMDb for episode 6.
Isn't
that
normal?
weird?
Yeah, that's really
I
weird.
know that's not normal at all.
Yeah. Strange.
Every other writer lined up with the credits of the opening sequence. So let's go back to number 2, Mr. Bill Richmond. This is the episode we hated because
Bill
suddenly,
Richmond?
Yeah, Bill Richmond.
Wasn't that the name of the friend that Nick had?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going there with this?
Yes.
All right, you just talk and I'll just listen.
No, so Bill Richmond, it was the gag I made where I googled Bill Richmond, and that was the like African American
Yes.
slave turned pro boxer that knocked suckers out.
Yes, great
But
story.
Bill Richmond was actually a like jazz player that turned into like a Hollywood writer.
That's wild.
So he was 69 years old
Okay.
at the time he wrote this teenage high school girl episode. He watched episode 1 where Blossom got her period and had to go buy tampons. And then they tagged in Bill Richmond, the 69-year-old guy, to write chapter 2 of the Blossom story.
Wow.
Like, no wonder it sucked.
You kind of called that.
Think about what Bill Richmond knows about women. He grew up, he had this long career in Hollywood in this like 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Right.
So he just sat down and was like, well, obviously the most popular boy in high school, wants to take her to the box social or whatever, right?
Yeah, to sock up.
He's gonna impress her with his nickel candy from his suit jacket pocket. So this guy has no clue.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is 70 years old writing episode 2 of Blossom. So that's why it's just batshit crazy. And
Yeah, no kidding,
know,
man.
the one thing he did do right, though, is he got Stephen Dorff, right?
Wow.
But, like, what a swing and a miss. You get the Dorff, and that's the week the geezer writes the show. Like, what a happy, sad sandwich. We were right. This guy had no clue.
Yeah, good call, man. That was all you.
I was so happy to be right about that, and that's why episode 2 sucks.
Well done.
Yeah, because they handed it to a senior citizen. I shouldn't be mean to him. He passed away a while ago. And he has a huge resume of writing for all these sitcoms in the 80s.
Right.
And I think it's buried in my notes somewhere. I've got such long notes. So if suddenly I launch into a Bill Richmond story in the middle of our deep dive here,
I love it.
there. Whew! I got that out of my system. I was just like so excited to be right about episode 2.
The fact that you were able to kind of pick up on the writing patterns throughout the episodes that we broke down one by one and then figure all this out and see that you were right, that's wild, man. Well done.
Thank you. I couldn't get past that. And it was blowing my mind. You would think there would be like a group. I've something I've never really thought about. Like, as a writer myself, not to like sound like a jerk, but I guess I always assumed you look at like Arrested Development
Right.
Wouldn't you think there's just like a team of like 6 or 7 people that sit in a boardroom for like a month and a half and like write out an entire season and kind of share the credit? Isn't that how TV works?
Usually, yeah. They have like a writer's room.
Yeah.
With like a set
Is that
staff.
something new?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
something that's evolved from, say, 1991 and how television was made for Blossom? Looks like they literally just looked around the room and broke it up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a lot about writers' rooms and stuff like that, obviously, but in listening to Office podcasts, that's how they explained that they did it. They had a staff of writers, but then they would divvy up the episodes. So somebody will go away and write the first draft, and then they bring it to the room, and then everybody kind of adds their own. They punch it up.
Okay. All right, I can accept that.
Yeah.
My nose was bleeding trying to figure out how you could possibly have any sort of continuity doing it this way.
You wouldn't think so.
What a bizarre way to have an episodic television show.
I agree.
Because again, it makes sense. 1, 2, and 3 are completely different shows.
Yeah.
All right, Sal, I'm going to tag you back in. It's Homecoming.
Yes.
The next part is yours. I'm already punch drunk and it's just winding up.
Yeah, we haven't even really gotten into it at all.
All you need to know is all this stuff we talked about who wrote what episode for the first 7 is completely irrelevant in about 3 minutes as Brenda Hampton Kane and William C. Kenny just start drop kicking bitches.
They come out of the gates firing, man.
This is something else this week, Sal.
All right, we're in a new set. It's the school, but we haven't seen this hallway with the lockers before.
Nope.
6 is asking Blossom if they should be worried that they don't have dates to the dance yet. And then she says, oh my god, you don't suppose this means we're the girls with good personalities? And then 6's line that comes at 1 minute and 14 seconds in.
6 replies, nah, we're not fat enough to have good personalities. I press pause and I go stand on my front porch with my eyes closed and face the sunlight for a few minutes.
Right?
I was like, I'm out. I can't. What? Did that just happen?
6 coming in
Blossom.
hot, like right away.
Blossom, ladies and gentlemen. Brenda Hampton Kane and William C. Kenny with something to prove this week in episode 8.
They're coming out guns a-blazing. They're trying to land permanent jobs.
So I wipe my face with both my hands and I'm like, okay, all right. There's nowhere this show could possibly go but down now. So I go back in, I press play.
Oh, just you wait, Curtis.
And Blossom says, well, it comes down to math. All the guys ask out the same 4 girls. 6 names them by name and calls them the 4 sluts of the apocalypse. Sluts gets dropped on Blossom. 1 minute 55 in. I press pause and I go stand on my porch with my eyes closed and face the sun a second time.
In my notes, I just wrote, what is happening right now?
I wrote, Brenda Hampton Kane plus William C. Kenny equals more, please.
Right?
What? I did not realize slut was just a word you could throw out there around this time.
Yeah?
A few years ago, when I was super sick, I pulled a bunch of my old Spider-Man comics out and was reading them, and that's the one thing I super remember. There was a comic where this guy was attacking the...
Peter Parker called Mary Jane a slut?
No. You might as well. This guy was attacking the Daily Bugle, and Betty Brant stabbed him in the leg, like in the thigh, with a letter opener.
Nice.
And he yells, "You slut," at Betty Brant.
Wow.
In a Spider-Man comic. Yeah. And that was the only
That's
time
jarring.
I didn't know that was kind of a word that was acceptable around this time, because that was probably a late 80s comic book, and here it is in Blossom.
Well, it definitely has some sting to it, the way that 6 says it.
Yeah.
About Lorraine Bristol, Margaret Chafin, Dina Nash, and Patty Nygren. The 4
That's
sluts
them.
of the apocalypse.
I think we should take to Facebook after we stop rolling tonight and see if we can find 4 women with those names. That would be our next Instagram post. The 4 sluts of apocalypse.
I don't think...
Hashtag Blossom episode 8, season 1. Hashtag thank you Brenda Hampton Kane and William C. Kenny.
Oh, I love it.
Can I mention that when Blossom and 6 enter the hall, I wrote, my oh my, these outfits. 6, black boots, leggings, a toddler's pink ballerina skirt, black shirt, open denim jacket. Blossom, purple boots, black leggings, striped mini skirt, long white shirt, and open Sgt. Pepper and Lonely Hearts Club Band jacket. And did you notice they were not even wasting any time? You know the opening chords of the Too Many Cooks wide shot? Like,
Yeah.
That hadn't even faded when 6 comes in. Should we be panicked because we don't have dates for Homecoming yet? Like, they are running before the gun goes off in this episode, you know?
Right, totally. This episode was jam-packed, and they were just raring to go.
What a gift. It was like the network said, all right, Brenda, Hampton, Cade, and William C. Kenny, you got 5 minutes. What do you got? And they didn't waste a second of it.
No.
You know, if you press me in the first 2 minutes of the show, you could write the rest of it.
They told one of the best versions of the Aristocrats that the network had ever heard.
Totally.
So, as they turn the corner, a guy with good hair and a Letterman jacket calls to their attention, and the guy's name is Jordan Taylor. And for the rest of the scene, I'd always have to backspace because I would start typing Bobby. I was just expecting this guy to be named Bobby.
Well, don't you worry, sir. We get a Bobby before the episode's over anyway. So this one, however,
I was saving
was
it for the
Bobby.
end, but yes, I just want you to know that every time I typed in Jordan, I would always have to backspace on Bobby.
No, I'm with you. I'm sure in the original draft, his name was Bob. No, screw that. These two are better than that. They were probably forced to use the name Bobby later on in the episode.
By the end, the writers were like, yeah, your script is really good for your first time, but I'm feeling there should be a Bobby in here.
They were like, well, I think this guy should be named Bobby, and Brenda Hampton Kane and William C. Kenny just started throwing out like completely like derogatory terms that were even offensive by 1991 to these other writers, and they were like, all right, take it, it's yours. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. You face the wall now. I'm either going to break your pencil or your fingers. Which is it? And be like, pencil, please, Miss Hampton. Yeah, that's right.
Their first day, they just walk in and they just snap everybody's pencils. And they're just like, all right, nerds, we're taking over.
They're like, God, I saw the first 7 scripts of the show and I wasn't sure if I should break your fingers or just poke out my eyes. This is the worst writing I've ever seen.
I heard that's where they got the original idea for the magic trick that the Joker does.
Probably.
It was just that kid Evan or whatever, the one who wanted the recycling bins.
Totally.
They were like, come here, kid, we got a magic trick for you. I'll just say this now, because I did notice it later on. There's no recycling bins anymore in the kitchen.
No. They put Bill Richmond in them and rolled them out.
They came in and changed.
They did.
They were like, we're doing things differently now.
Right? They're like, who dug up Bill Richmond? Come on. Okay, it took me a second to get this joke. He says his name's Jordan Taylor. Blossom introduces herself, and 6 says his name is on her notebook as well.
Yeah.
And it's a Taylor notebook, right?
Oh.
I don't even know if they make Taylor notebooks anymore. But that was like the
Couldn't
staple.
tell you, yeah. No, you know what? I didn't even think about that.
It took me a second to really roll that joke around. I don't know.
Hey, man.
I was going to let it
new
go,
writers.
but I was like, no, Brenda Hampton Kane and William C. Kenny deserve better.
So, Bobby, not Bobby, asked Blossom to the dance.
Okay.
And then Blossom's stunned. And then 6 nudges her. And Blossom comes to and says that she'd love to go. But not before there's like a quick little dream sequence here for Blossom.
Yeah. He's in a tuxedo. He says, of course, who else would I ask? I've always loved you.
Right.
And that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That he would say that. Yeah, I don't know. I wrote some gibberish before that.
Yeah.
My actual writing is, it's a 6 fixus. That means nothing to me.
I don't think that means anything to anyone.
No. God. I don't know why, but I do not like this guy. And I cannot wait for him to go into the pit and never be seen again after this episode.
Yeah, is he even deserving of the pit? Like, he has a pretty forgettable role.
I figured this was going to be the extra character, the disposable character for episode 8.
Right.
But he wasn't.
It was a fair assumption.
Yeah.
But he's coming.
Oh, okay. Suddenly, he's in a tuxedo, and it's all soft focus.
Right.
And he says, who else would I ask? I've always loved you, Blossom. And that's super funny that he would, in her dream sequence, that's what he would say to her.
Yeah.
Like, I really like that. It's so over the top direct. I've always loved you. Like, that's good writing. That's a funny thing to say right there.
I think you're giving it a little more credit than it deserves, but okay.
No, that's a good line. These two can do no wrong, Sal.
Apparently not.
If they wrote a joke, it's a 10. It's us that don't get appreciated or get it clearly. So Blossom says yes.
Of course. And then Jordan does the old bait and switch, and he calls over Geeky Fred as Blossom's date. This guy's a typical Poindexter Millhouse looking mother.
Yep. The audience gasps because while Blossom and Six were losers for not having a date on Friday night, this guy is more of a loser for
Right?
not having a date on Friday night.
Yeah. And at this point, I'm thinking, like, if he's such a repulsive geek, like, why would the top jock in the school, like, even want to associate with him?
Oh, they'll connect those dots.
They do.
They'll connect those dots, Sal.
I wasn't giving the writers enough credit based on the previous episodes, but we're in a new territory here.
Yeah.
I wasn't
We're
thinking.
in a new world today. So Fred sneezes into his hand
Yes.
and says he must be allergic to her perfume. And she says, I don't wear perfume. And he says, well, it must be your deodorant. And the jock says, well, don't wear any deodorant on Friday and you'll be fine. Like, this is just home run after home run. And the way he says it in such a, like, dismissive tone, he's like, well, my work's done. I'm out of here.
Well, peace out, guys.
Right. And then, so what's the connector? Why was he helping this nerd, Sal?
Well, he thanks Fred for helping him do his math homework.
I'm calling shenanigans. I see the raw material under his taped up glasses. He's going to take off his glasses and comb his hair, and this guy is going to be a 1991 hunk.
Yeah, is that where you thought the episode was going?
I did, and like usual, I was wrong.
Right?
Because that has been the ongoing theme of Blossom, is they set up the usual crappy sitcom tropes, and then they never end up where you think they're going to.
You thought they were going to she's all that us.
Totally.
Right?
Do you ever see Not Another Teen Movie?
Yes.
God, I love that movie. Of all the, like, dumb satire movies, that one
was
stands
pretty
at
solid.
the top. Oh, man.
Janie's got a gun.
Look at her. Yeah, Janie. Oh, Janie, gross. Look at her. She's got glasses and a ponytail. She could never be prom queen. That's what I thought was happening here. Well, you better bring it. Oh, it's already been broughten, Priscilla. That's a great line. I use that often.
I've never heard you say that.
I say it all the time.
I've literally never heard you say that, and I've known you for 12 years.
I say it all the time.
All right.
And speaking of it's already been broughten, this episode, we go back to inside the Russo kitchen where Joey's on the phone explaining to Tiffany.
Which is another great 90s girl name.
Oh, yeah, totally. There's no old lady Tiffany's.
Think about that, man. Think about when there will be.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
gonna
I
be
guess
odd.
there's going to have to be hot old Tiffany's at some point.
And then at that point, they're going to be naming their great-grandchildren Doris. Like, it's all full circle.
Right? Joey has to take his dad's car. This is what he's telling Tiffany on the phone.
Yes.
Because his Ferrari needs parts ordered from Japan.
No,
Which is
actually, it's
funny.
actually, you know what? I mixed this up too. I put Ferrari, but he actually said Corvette.
No, he says Ferrari first.
No,
trust me.
he says his vet because in the previous scene, when Six calls the jock out on the bait and switch, she says they showed you the Ferrari and then sold you the Pinto.
This is some Berenstain Bears stuff going on right now.
I'm really not trying to die on this hill, but I'm only saying it because I made the mistake as well.
Dude, I wrote Ferrari.
Continue with your point. The joke still lands.
Well, what's a Corvette?
A Corvette's an American car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, all right, take it away. I'm all lost now. I'm like, I don't even know what's up or down anymore.
Ferrari's what, Italian?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would make sense.
You should know that.
Why?
Because you're Italian.
So I know everything comes from Italy? I've never even been there. I have never even been there.
Don't you drive a Ferrari?
I wish I drove a Ferrari.
Have some pride.
Have some pride in your heritage. Drive a $500,000 car. He won't be able to pick her up in his Corvette because it's in the shop, and they had to order parts from Japan. But then Joey says he's having his sushi bar put in the glove compartment.
And Nick is overacting this whole scene.
Right.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, who's he playing to? You know? He hangs up the phone, and Nick asks, why would you do that? He says, oh, it's just a little lie.
Yeah.
And Nick says, what happens when she finds out you don't have a car? And Joey says, with complete confidence, by that time she'll be so impressed by my clothes and my hair, she won't care about superficial stuff like cars. You know, he's not wrong on some levels. You know, he's done his homework.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So he wants the car on Friday.
Yes.
And to continue the evolution of Nick into, like, the antagonist of the show, he tells Joey he wants him to beg and grovel for the car. And I was like, what?
What is also revealed is that Joey has a driving exam on Friday. So he doesn't even have his driver's license yet. So he's going for his license on Friday. So, yeah, I would think that Nick would expect him to beg him to take his car out for the first time to impress a girl the day that he would potentially get his license.
I feel like in the Russo house, I mean, I guess Joey's kind of an idiot at this point, but, like, getting your driver's license, wouldn't that kind of be, like, celebrating? You know, wouldn't that be, like, a happy time? And I guess Joey's kind of being an idiot about it, like I said, but I don't know.
Right.
It was just like, dude, what happened to the loving, understanding parent from episode 1? He's just like, screw you. Crawl on your belly, kid. I'm Nick Russo.
I don't know about you, man. I can't blame Nick here. I'm with him.
I don't know. I'm Team Joey on this one.
I'm with him, man. I was going to bring this up later, but we could talk about this now because, like, I am years away from teaching my son how to drive, but you're not that far off. Isn't that going to be scary?
There.
Yeah. Is that, like, not going to be a scary time for you, trusting him with your car?
Oh, it completely will be.
Well, then there you go.
But I'm not going to be like, oh, you want the car? Clean my shoes with your tongue.
He didn't say that. Come on.
Pretty much.
Come on.
Like,
you're not giving Nick Russo enough credit.
He is schizophrenic.
He's the coolest dad on TV. We've already determined this. It's already been determined.
There's no takebacks?
No takebacks.
Okay, no takebacks.
I'm playing for keeps.
Nick Russo continues to just delve into madness with his with his up and down style of parenting.
Joey's getting grounded all the time. He's always doing bad things. Of course he's got to grovel. To take out a car, that's a big responsibility.
All right, fine. Yeah, so they get into he has to pass his driver exam first on Friday.
Yes.
He totally goes off on Joey and throws all this at him, and then Joey just stands there and takes a beat and goes, what's really bothering you, Dad? And
Yeah.
I love how Joey just shuts him down.
Yeah, that was great.
So good. Yeah, and his delivery was so good, too.
Yeah.
Joey would be the kind of guy that is so narcissistic that all that negativity wouldn't even really register because he's just got his own bizarre agenda.
It wouldn't even faze him because all he's thinking about is taking the car, right?
Yeah.
So he's just like, all right, like, you're attacking me for no reason. Like, what is this really about?
What are you going to do with the car?
Yeah.
You have no life, you know?
Yeah. Nick sits him down at the table.
Yeah. He has his little checklist. His
Yes.
life is great because right now, he isn't driving, Blossom isn't dating, and Anthony is sober. So life is good and he can still sleep at night because these things aren't happening.
That's fair. When he said that, I was like, that's fair.
I would hate to see what his life looks like in a bad time because he seems miserable and irritable.
The mom's been gone for 4 years. The guy's got a lot on his plate. You're not giving him enough credit, Curtis, and it's really upsetting me, all right?
I'm sorry. Okay, the weight of the world is crushing Nick Russo and it's affecting his parenting like it would anybody. Okay.
He's worried that Joey's going to get his license before he's ready to and get into a big accident. And Joey says, oh, there's no way that'll ever happen. And then he knocks over a random glass of milk that was already on the table. Was that there before? I didn't see it in the establishing shot, but...
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I didn't want to go back, though.
Yeah, me neither. So then Nick says if he passes the test, they'll talk, but then he tells him that he needs to practice. And then Joey says, well, how many times do I have to circle the supermarket parking lot? And then Nick says, until you stop sideswiping the photomat booth.
Nice dated reference there. To recap,
Yes.
Nick's life is good right now because Joey isn't driving, Blossom isn't dating, and Anthony is sober, so he can still sleep at night. But Joey is driving. Then Blossom storms in, and she's having dating trouble. That was his second worry. He says, oh no, one's dating and one's driving. I'm in daddy hell. And then Anthony stumbles into the kitchen with no shirt, dragging a Mickey of New Amsterdam vodka with his head caught in one of those plastic 6-pack rings like a seagull, and proceeds to urinate on the kitchen floor because he's drunk. Oh no, 3 for 3, Nick. That last one didn't happen.
No,
I was waiting for it.
I was kind of waiting for it too, actually, to be perfectly honest.
They just never finished the joke. They set it up, and then they're like, nah. This is Blossom.
I feel like when Anthony inevitably falls off the wagon, that's going to be probably like a 2-parter episode.
That's going to be the very special episode.
Yeah.
But I thought it also would have been fitting if he came in like that at that exact moment.
It would have been great.
Make a big deal about it.
Yeah, it was just like a passing joke.
The slow zoom into Mick as he put his like hand on his fist on the table and like raised his eyebrows at the camera because it zoomed in.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. It's a living. So Blossom says Fred Fogarty asked her to homecoming. And then we get our third Joey. Whoa.
It's a good one.
Yeah. He said, you mean Pinhead Fred? And I was like, Pinhead? Like the guy from Hellraiser with the nails in his face? That's pretty badass. I'd go to prom with that guy.
Right?
Or I'd go to homecoming. Was it homecoming or prom?
I think it's homecoming. Prom was the Bobby episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So then Joey says, Fred's the nerd love child of Olive Oil and Gilligan, and I don't want it in my search engine, but I sat there and I was like, there's got to be at least a 70% chance there's like a high-end porn out there that one person is real and the other's animated like Roger Rabbit. Because when would Gilligan and Olive Oil? How would, did Olive Oil go to the island?
I didn't put that much thought into it.
Doesn't make sense.
I agree.
Doesn't make sense, Joey.
I agree. It was a weird reference.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. So Blossom says that she wants to bail. And then Nick surprisingly says, well, the right thing to do is to go because you committed.
Yeah.
That's not before. He was nervous about her dating at first. And then when she says it's at a dance, he says, a dance in public with lots of people around, you should go.
He's just all over the place. I don't see why he's so worried Blossom's going to get pregnant. She does not give off the vibes.
No,
that
I agree.
Like rushing into any sort of sexual activity.
Right.
Like to be fair to Blossom, he's completely hard on her in that way.
Right.
And I don't know if that's something that just kind of aged poorly with the show.
Yeah.
Taking his woman anger issues out on his daughter.
Not necessarily that. That's a little dark, but
Okay.
I don't know. Let's move on. So Nick tells her to go because it's the right thing to do and she committed. And then he says that he has to get to work, but not before he says that he likes nerds. They're sexually inhibited and they usually make good drivers. That's a fair play. It's a fair play.
Yeah. And he says that because it's like the opposite of Joey.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
So before we get into the rest of this scene, Joey's making a sandwich at the counter and he's pulling stuff out of the fridge. So Blossom walks up to the counter and in the background you can see the fridge. And I just noticed that on the fridge, there's a bunch of postcards. And they look like they're from different countries. And I was like, oh, that's like random set filler. And then I was like, wait a second. That is actually like fantastic attention to detail. The mother's sending them postcards and they're on the fridge.
That is amazing, Sal. Good eye. I did not see that at all.
And that's also when I noticed that the recycling bins were gone. So major changes this week on Blossom.
You would have thought the art on the refrigerator door would have been like Joey's stick figures with penises.
Right?
But good catch. The postcards.
And an AA brochure.
Oh, no. Joey tries to talk Blossom out of her date with Fred. And he says, Blossom, a borderline babe like you can't afford to be seen with a bottom feeder like Fred. And you think Joey calling her a borderline babe is going to lead to a special connecting moment between the two of them?
You'd be
Right?
wrong.
But they definitely zig when you're expecting a zag.
Yeah.
She says, what do you mean borderline, almost offended? I don't know. If my sibling called me borderline attractive, I'd think that was a victory, but not for our Blossom. She has to pick at that scab, and she's immediately regretting her decision when she asks, what do you mean borderline? Joey kind of pauses and says, you go to the honor society, you play the trumpet, and you haven't been blessed by the Hooter fairy yet. and the crowd initially erupts with laughter,
Right.
and then it sinks into it, and it goes, they're like, ha ha ha! Oh.
Yeah, it was
And
so awkward, man.
It is I have never heard that before from a live studio audience. It's like they laugh on cue, and then as it sinks in, their laughter legitimately in real time turns into a, oh no.
It died out super quick.
The director knows that one landed, and they take an extra beat, and they go back and forth in the shots between Joey and Blossom reacting one extra time.
Yeah, they held on it.
Brenda Hampton Kane and William C. Kenny high five and nod at each other because they know they got us.
For sure.
The gun is just discharging at a rapid pace this episode. You like apples, Blossom? How do you like them apples? I don't even know if awkward is the word. That's the most jarring moment of this show so far.
It's definitely the most animated audience reaction.
Yeah, I was a big fan. And Joey just stares her straight in the eyes.
Yeah, how did they not crack up? Like, how did they not crack up at that?
Oh, they must have done a whole bunch of takes.
That was, yeah.
The best part is Blossom doesn't disagree with any of what he said, and she goes, "What's your point?" And then so he says, if you go to the dance with Fred, it'll ruin your life. You go out with Fred once and you're marked forever. And then that's the end of that scene. He walks out and leaves her just kind of hanging there. This next scene kind of threw me for a loop immediately before I figured out what was going on.
I kind of almost got it right away. I'll just say that.
No, that's cool.
So it's in the cafeteria. Fred walks up to Blossom and he says that he had a really good time at the dance on Friday. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, this is a dream sequence because they haven't showed the dance.
I fell for it.
Yeah.
I was like, really? We're jumping past the dance? Okay.
I thought that was weird. And then I was like, it must be a dream sequence if they're going to skip past
Good on
it.
you.
Yeah. And then plus, it's also a dead giveaway because Six is sitting at a table with Jordan, the cool dude from the beginning. And
Yeah.
Blossom goes to sit with her and she says she can't sit with him now because she's marked.
That's when I bought in.
Right.
But at first I thought, oh yeah, man, like, why not? This would be, if there was ever a show that didn't even show the dance and just went straight to Monday
It's true.
at lunch, it would have been Blossom.
You wouldn't put it past Blossom.
You missed where Fred says he had a great time and those lambada dances really paid off. And then he doesn't do the lambada as he walks away. And the only reason I know what the lambada is because, like everyone else, nobody knew what the lambada was until they watched Dirty Dancing a few years prior, which made the lambada a household name.
And that is why I didn't write it down, because it went right over my head.
Because you haven't seen Dirty Dancing.
Exactly.
You should watch Dirty Dancing. It will be the time of your life, Salicardo.
All right, I'll tell you what. I will watch it, and we'll talk about it next week.
Take your Ferrari to a drive-in next time they have one of those classic movie nights. Great movie.
I'm not going to commit to next week because I'm probably not going to watch it before next week. But by the end of this cast, I will watch Dirty Dancing, and we will do a mini breakdown of it at the beginning of
Sounds
one
good.
episode.
Okay, I'll get your thoughts on Dirty Dancing.
All right, sounds good. It's probably in the top 100 movies that you should see. If there's a list of
yeah.
like the top 100 movies, it's got to be on there.
I think I honestly like it a lot because of the soundtrack. Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember really the dialogue, but I remember they're having a serious heart-to-heart while These Arms of Mine by Otis Redding is playing. Great song.
Nice.
I mean, Otis Redding was a piece of shit as a human being, but God, he made great music.
Well, funny you mentioned that because we do have a canceled person coming up.
We definitely do.
Jordan tells Blossom that she should sit with her own kind. And then he points over to a table of nerds like the Island of Misfit Toys.
Yeah.
And then that's when Blossom wakes up at the bottom of her bed.
Right? Before we go to this, I said, I know this is a dream sequence, but Snobby Better Than You 6's facial expressions are fun.
I love it.
She was so good. You can see why they start using 6 more, because Jenna Von Oy just
She's great.
steals every scene lately.
Yeah.
They give her 30 seconds and she makes like 5 minutes worth, right?
I love Salty Six, man. I love it.
It's been a great episode for her. She's
Yeah.
really showing range as an actress.
Definitely.
So Blossom sits up in her bed, like you mentioned. She's upside down, and we don't get a snap zoom this time. Camera op blows it. He realizes he blew it, and he slowly creeps in instead after the fact.
Nice catch.
It's here we see Blossom grab her stuffed teddy bear, which is an Alf teddy, And I immediately connect the dots, and I literally stood up off my couch because there's no way they would use an Alf doll without making happen what I think is about to happen, and all I want in the world right now is for what I think is going to happen, and Blossom goes back to sleep, and in her dream, she's in heaven, and Alf is God. Alf is God. Alf is God. And all you Kevin Smith fans out there that thought it was so edgy when he made Alanis Morissette God in Dogma in 1999 can suck rocks. Because 8 years earlier, the incredible writing duo for Blossom Episode 8 made Alf God.
Yeah, and I thought the exact same thing. I was like, hey, there's an Alf thing there. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
How excited did you get?
Very excited. And it happened. They got Alf. Alf was on Blossom.
Blossom is an angel, but she looks like the Philadelphia cream cheese lady.
Yes, she does.
Because it's not a good angel costume.
No.
And I feel like the audience reaction for Alf should have been bigger, but then when you think about it, it's not like he would have suddenly popped up, right?
Yeah.
Like for the live audience, they would have seen the guy with the puppet like crawl under the desk as they set up this scene. So
I suppose that's true.
I think they should have redone it and had them pop way bigger for Alf because it was tepid.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, it's me, Alf. And they were just kind of like,
Yeah, Alf deserves more credit than that.
Right? She says, I remember going through a dark tunnel and seeing a light. Is this heaven? He goes, no, it's New Jersey. And I really appreciated that because you and I have warm memories with New Jersey, right? It's the only road trip we ever made together.
He said, you owe me $2 for the toll. And then I wrote, classic Alf.
Right? What won't he say?
He's so quippy.
They make a Stairway to Heaven Led Zeppelin joke and the audience didn't get it?
No, not at all.
No.
But before that, Blossom goes, you're the guardian to heaven? And then Alf says, where'd you think I went? Syndication?
He's breaking down the fourth wall.
More classic Alf.
Right? He looked her up and he says, oh, you're an overachiever. You solved world hunger and achieved world peace and donated a kidney to the Pope. And she says, actually, I donated both kidneys. That's why I'm dead, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Kind of dark, but kind of funny. Then we get the classic Melmac joke about how, on my planet, we all have 3 kidneys. For lunch!
And that's when Alf asks her if she has any cats.
Because he eats cats, but they don't explain that joke. So if you didn't know about Alf, that would have been such a weird...
Who doesn't know about Alf?
Well, he's...
Come on.
There's definitely some people who watched Blossom that didn't know about Alf, and they were like, WTF?
I would assume that the Alf Blossom crossover is pretty close. I just assume. I have no idea.
Think about redoing this show and substituting Blossom for Alf, starting in episode 1. He comes around the corner with his shopping cart, embarrassed to buy tampons, and it's Alf. Think about that.
Why? Why am I thinking about this?
It's Jordan from school. Oh, working the till. I'm so embarrassed.
Classic Alf.
Right? That's what we need to do. We need to get Alf off the bench and back in the game and remake Blossom, all 115 episodes where he's Blossom. That would be, oh God.
Can we call it Blauf?
That is the worst word I have ever heard in my life. Blauf. I feel stupider having said it aloud.
Right? Welcome to the cast, man.
It takes IQ points off every time you say the word blouse.
That
6, don't go to the makeout party.
Hey, man.
Oh, blouse.
I think I found our new T-shirt.
Blouse. Alf
It's like
standing back to back with Jenna Von Oy in a giant hat.
Except it's like the BL is like the pink cursive for Blossom, and then it's like the Alf block letters.
Blouse. Oh my God. Yo, Nick. What's the deal here? Are you cooking cat or not?
This might be too specific, but the intro should be first person point of view of like him dancing with everyone.
Dude, and it's the camera. That's the same intro as Blossom, basically.
Right?
Joey! Quit being so stupid! Anthony, will you just fall off the wagon already? The difference between you and me is... I don't get high before I eat cats.
Jesus Christ.
I can't even say Blouf without laughing.
I'm sweating right now, man.
Can I have the next one?
Go for it.
He tells her to proceed up the stairs to heaven, and she begins, and then he looks down at her file, and what does Alf say?
He realizes that she dated Pinhead Fred, and then he says that she broke the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not geek.
And he stamps her passport and sends her to hell. But you missed it, Sal.
What
I'm
did I
happy
miss?
you missed it, because I get to deliver this.
Go
She's
for it.
going up the stairs to heaven, and Alf says, whoa. So that gives us Joey 3, Anthony 2, and Alf 1 for the rest of this show.
Oh my god, how did I not notice that?
says, whoa.
I'm so glad that Alf is on our woe counter.
He's on our woe count for the next 109 episodes. We have to credit Alf with a woe.
I love it.
Can I take a couple minutes and read a news article from news.com.au to you? Because I don't know if you know about the darkness that was the show Alf, and I don't know if we'll ever get another chance to talk about this. One of the lead actors on Alf, Max Wright, who played the father and head of the family, Willie Tanner, despised working with a star puppet. He called it very hard work and very grim. Before landing a role on the hit 1980s show, Wright had been a serious theater actor. In Alf, he became the alien's jumping castle for edgy puppet comedy, including jokes about walking in on Willie's wife in the shower. Okay?
Brilliant.
Despite the credit given to him, Wright longed for the show to end. He came to resent his starring role so deeply that the moment the program wrapped, he walked straight from the soundstage to his car, leaving the production without farewelling his co-stars. It was one take. Max went off the set, got his bags, got to his car, and disappeared. Yes. By the end of 4 years of Alf, Wright told People, I was hugely eager to have it over with. The actor died in his home in June of 2019 after a long battle with cancer. You'd think it would stop there, but it doesn't. Give me another minute.
Okay.
Anne Sheridan, who played Mother Kate Tanner, said the actors experienced, quote, no joy on the set. She said working with the puppets were a technical nightmare. Actors were forced to work long hours. She was shocked the show was so well received, and word never got out that the crew and cast had been so deeply unhappy. It was a technical nightmare. It was slow, hot, and tedious. If you had a scene with Alf, it took centuries. A 30-minute show took 25 hours to shoot.
Jeez.
She was astonished to hear that Alf was wonderful, and it never got out how messed the cast were. Andrea Ellison, who played the teen daughter, remembers the tension on set and being stressed having to play second fiddle to a puppet, but she developed her own issues. Starting as a young teen caused her to develop an eating disorder. I just wanted to be stick skinny like when the show started. She had developed bulimia by the second season. She didn't find peace until she became pregnant in 1997. It just gets darker and darker, and I'll spare you, but basically they all have PTSD because the sets had to have all these holes for them to bring the puppet up.
Right.
So they had to walk and maneuver around the house constantly without ever looking down, knowing one misstep and they could fall like 6 feet into the void below, breaking their knees and legs.
Man, that makes me really sad.
Right? It ruined lives.
Yeah, it's ruining my life right now.
So Alf played the gatekeeper to heaven. So after that scene ends, she wakes up in bed again, and this time there's no snap zoom again. So they have a new camera union working that is unfamiliar with the snap zoom, just like apparently the writers.
You know what, man? That's really sticking with me, and I wish that we could go back a few minutes before you told me all that Alf stuff. I'm just super depressed right now.
Sorry, buddy. Alf was not a fun show.
No.
Well, think about it. None of them really did work after Alf. Like, none of that cast are famous. The neighbor said she couldn't believe it kept getting renewed because she thought the show was a piece of shit. That was her quote.
Wow.
And they finally just tanked it because everyone was so unhappy, but they wanted to do 2 more seasons. Do you remember, like, hearing the lore of the cliffhanger?
Yeah, when he got dragged out by the FBI?
Yeah, they were supposed to do 2 more seasons, and instead they just made a made-for-TV movie, and that is why.
And none of the cast is in it.
They all said, hell no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, what a bleak ending. I'm really sad now, man.
Let's bring it back up. In the cafeteria, Blossom tries to cancel her date to the dance. She says she can't go to the dance with Fred because she has to, she panics and comes up with, go to Bulgaria for a trumpet competition. That's her excuse. He smells a lie. She says, I'm sure you can find someone else. He says, I don't want anyone else. I want to go with you. And he starts wiping tears away. So this is awkward because she's trying to back out and he starts to cry. And I lean back and I say, you know who the one character is that could save this and save everybody's emotions and feelings at this point?
Who's that?
You goddamn right, it's Bobby from episode 2, played by Stephen Dorff. He can show up and be like, hey, sorry man, I'm back. We never broke up, Blossom. I'm taking you to homecoming. I made another ladder in shop class. Let's go. And Fred would be like, oh, sorry, bro. I thought you were gone. And he'd be like, I am gone, Fred, good chum, but I'm back now, so... no hurt feelings, man, because she totally would have gone if I was still away. So Fred cries and storms away from the table, leaving his lunch behind, which, although the scene cuts, I assume Blossom eats.
And then when he walked away and he, like, struggled to open the door, I couldn't tell if that was, like, supposed to be played for, like, a geek joke or... because like, the audience didn't laugh, and I didn't know if that was on purpose or, like, if the actor actually just struggled and they ignored it, but they kept it in, like... It was just weird.
It was weird because it's not... I feel like you were supposed to laugh at that because he's a geek, but you already felt so bad that nobody laughed.
I wonder if that was just like him doing that and they're like, all right, that makes sense. We'll keep it in. So Blossom walks into the kitchen. It looks like it's the middle of the night. Anthony's sitting at the table with a full meal. And this guy must sleep all day. Like, there must actually...
I get that.
There must actually be something about the theory of him not going out in sunlight.
Yeah, we've been making a lot of fun of that, but I wonder if that actually is a thing.
It must be,
because they've mentioned that more than once about how he's not up during the day.
And if you think about it, like, there's very rarely scenes where he is around during the day.
Yeah. I feel like that's not by accident. I also said, I think this cements our theory that the writers realized they really had nothing for this Anthony character, so they got rid of Agnes, and now he's the one they come to for advice?
Yeah.
Or she comes to for advice?
Yeah, for sure.
She explains her problems to Anthony, and Anthony drops this gem. He says, quote, don't bet against Fred. And I want a t-shirt that says, don't bet against Fred. Just so stupid and random. But he says it with such conviction, I like it.
He kind of makes a good point, though.
Oh, yeah.
Blossom says she has a guilty conscience. And then Anthony asks to talk, and then Blossom says, no, I don't want you to think I'm terrible. And then Anthony says, 8 months ago, he was so high that the cops caught him at 3 a.m. asking for a Big Mac and fries from an automatic teller machine.
The audience liked that one.
They sure did.
Laughing at Fred's pain? No. Laughing at Anthony's pain? Yes. Then they take another shot at poor Gorbachev.
Yeah, there's another Gorby reference.
He's an ongoing punching bag for the series, and I don't get it. I didn't write down the joke, but they definitely took another shot at this guy.
Yeah, it's basically Anthony's trying to make a point about how the world runs on geeks.
Right. You think this would be an opportunity for Blossom to bring up her former friend Gorby, who she hung out with 2 episodes ago when her and Six were on the outs. You know, maybe tell a funny story or be like, oh yeah, I have a friend they called Gorby because of her head. But no, she doesn't even remember this girl.
No,
that's how cold Blossom is. She's gone. Gorby's in the pit. Never to be talked about again. Anthony's thesis is that rejection drives geeks to work harder and accomplish great things. And I press pause and go stare at myself in the mirror as tears stream down my face.
Now, how does he get to peer pressure? Did I miss a part?
Well, he just talks about, peer pressure is a horrible thing, Blossom, because she doesn't want to take Fred to the dance because of peer pressure.
Right.
Which is not really peer pressure, but it leads us to this moment.
Peer pressure got him to smoke his first cigarette, drink his first beer, and experiment with drugs.
Yeah. And I wrote, I hope the swerve of this episode that was actually Fred that got Anthony addicted to drugs. And he's like a secret badass. And it comes full circle. And it's only part 1. But no, that's not where it went either.
Now, usually Anthony's storylines are throwaways, and his was that his rock bottom came when he wore bicycle pants.
Yeah. But then we managed to go darker.
Yeah, so we've already referenced this guy. He's been a canceled person in the past, but he looks at Blossom and he says, Woody Allen's date from the prom had Blossom's same problem. And then I thought, she's not going to prom with her dad.
Right? I wrote down, thank goodness Woody Allen's prom date didn't have the same problems his adoptive daughter did.
That's basically what I was getting at.
Yeah. And there's the darkness reference for this episode, 100%.
Absolutely.
Okay, we go back to the Too Many Cooks exterior. Then Nick's pretending to play the piano, and today he's pretending to play Yesterday by the Beatles.
Yes.
Then Joey, who's wearing Ronald McDonald's t-shirt,
Yeah,
says,
he is.
if you keep writing downers like that, you'll never have a hit. And once again, we have this weird forced moment between Joey and Nick that they seem to keep going back to in this episode for some reason.
So Joey reminds him about the car and the driving test, and Nick tells him he better have a backup. And he says Tiffany won't go to the dance with him if he doesn't drive. He says she's turned on by men who drive. And then Nick says, well, this oil shortage must be hitting her hard. To which Joey responds with, anyone with a car is hitting her hard.
The audience does exactly what I do. They kind of stifle a laugh because they immediately think they missed the real joke because it sounded dirty to them.
Right.
And they think they have a dirty mind. But by the time you realize, no, that's the only possible way to take that joke. It's too late and the scene has moved on.
Right?
You know what's exhausting about reviewing Blossom? Everything leads to something. Like, Joey's reminding Nick about lending him the car, and I felt like I didn't need to write that down.
Right.
But no, it leads to the hardest sex joke maybe in Blossom history, so then I had to go back and start at the beginning and write the whole thing again. Because, and just the way he delivers the, guys with cars are hitting her hard.
Oh, man, it's so great.
His delivery is so good in that, too. They tried to pass that one under the radar and did a pretty good job.
So Joey tells Nick that he should wash the car, fill it with gas, and buy an air freshener with musk. So then Nick suggests that they do all that together so that he can practice parallel parking. Joey says he's ready to drive, and Nick says it's like playing an instrument. He has to practice. So basically, Nick's trying to prove him a point here about how he needs to practice to actually learn how to drive, because Joey just assumes that he should be able to do it.
Did you notice how suddenly Nick softened on Joey and he got up and they were like play fighting and he was kind of back to like Nick episode 1 parenting style where suddenly he's all goofy and wants to be Joey's friend here?
Yeah, he must be having a good day.
Yeah.
Nick tells Joey to sit at the piano and play a couple bars. Joey just starts hammering on keys. And then there's a moment that the crowd loves where, I mean, his face is pretty hilarious here, but he just goes, wow, I can play the piano.
The Joey scenes they are too focused on making dark sex jokes.
Yeah.
They don't have time for Joey's ineptness.
Yeah. Where do we go next, Curtis?
Well, Six comes into Blossom's room with good news. Deanna Nash, who was one of the 4 sluts of the apocalypse,
You would be correct.
got into a car accident and broke both her legs, so she can't go to the dance with Johnny Goodman, so he asked her.
Yes.
Well, he actually asked 5 other girls, but hey, my name is Six.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that?
I kind of went, no, that's okay, I can laugh at that.
Yeah.
It was an awkward joke, but I appreciated it.
Well, it's kind of like the first real joke that they made about her name being Six.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure how that really developed the Six character, because she's been so, like, hit and miss.
Right.
You know? Sometimes she's kind of played as, like, a sex-crazy bimbo, and other times she has these amazing moments of clarity and advice.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't tell if that was her being, like, completely dumb or just kind of making fun of herself. But I enjoyed it. Blossom says she's actually going with Fred again, and Six puts her on blast and says, you know what? Remember, he tricked you into going with him. And I said, she's right.
Yeah, she's not wrong.
We haven't even talked about this yet. Blossom totally got tricked into going with Fred, so, like, what the hell? Why is she beating herself up about this?
Yeah. Six tells her that she can't go, and she thinks that she's sweet, but when you're a teenager, it's not a survival skill.
Yeah, so what do you think this is? Little House on the Prairie? This is high school. This is hell.
6 is not wrong.
So many issues in this one. Blossom says, no, I'm going to do it. And then 6 says, yeah, Blossom, you're a decent person with real moral values. Life is going to eat you alive. And then that's the transition into the next scene.
Yep. End scene. Period.
Yeah. So Blossom goes and tells Fred she actually can go, Sal.
Yes.
And now Fred starts loading the shotgun.
Yeah, he really lets her have it here.
Do you have verbatim?
Well, he just says that he can't go with her now because he has another date. He's like, don't worry about it. I'll just cancel on her the day of. And then Blossom says, well, that wouldn't be nice. And then Fred says, well, maybe you can help me concoct a plan to lie to her. You seem to be really good at that. I'm like, damn, man, Fred is calling her out on her bullshit.
Yeah, I wrote, give her hell, Fred, but then I took it back a few lines later. Because at first it was fun, and then Fred just, says, you expect me to take you back? And starts, tearing into her more. He basically tells her it doesn't hurt when the pretty and popular girls reject him, but it hurts when Blossom doesn't. I'm sorry, Fred would totally take her back. Right?
Yeah.
Come on. He also asks her, he goes, are you suffering from some sort of delusion that you're super cool or something?
Right?
And I wrote, pump the brakes, Fred. Jesus. Ye just tease off on Blossom. That's really what it is. He was like, I expected better of you. And basically, yeah, it says, when the cool people reject him, it doesn't hurt. But when someone of Blossom status reject him, it cuts him deep.
It kind of stings, yeah.
And that itself has to sting. Where he's basically like, you're not good enough to not go out with me. Don't fool yourself. We're on the same level, Blossom. And that's it. Welcome to the pit, Fred.
That's curtains on Fred.
Joey and Blossom are in the kitchen. This kind of wraps it up. He failed his driving exam. Tiffany is going to the dance, Sal, after all, but not with him.
Who's she going with, Curtis?
She's going with a guy named Bobby. And that is our 4th Bobby in 8 episodes.
You are correct, sir. Bobby Shapiro.
So Nick's there. He tells Blossom, it's good she feels bad. It means you're a good person. Good people are miserable all the time. And I stand up and go...
Isn't that the truth?
And then Nick tries to say he was a geek in high school. And I was like, what? What? Oh, really? I feel like I should at least pretend I was shocked.
I feel like we got to rewind a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Well, just because when Joey's all bummed that he didn't pass his test, he says, you go through one lousy red light to put in a CD and the guy flunks you. Blossom tells him that she can't be more sympathetic because she's missing her first dance. I'm sorry, her first dance? Did she not go to a dance with Bobby 6 weeks ago?
You'd think you'd remember going to the dance with that guy.
Man, I think you're onto some theory here, and you might be right. They're really trying to get us to forget that this guy ever existed.
I wonder if he was supposed to have some sort of reoccurring character right out of the gates as her boyfriend. And then Steven Tyler called him and was like, hey! I need you in a video, man! That's my Steven Tyler.
That's exactly how it went down, I would imagine.
Except he was probably like, Steven Dorff! Need you in my video!
And now he's Little Richard.
Yeah, I kind of glossed over this part, to be honest. You might have to take this one. Because I was just like, yes, good people are miserable all the time. I'm going to hang my hat on that for the rest of my life.
It was basically neither of them ended up making it to the dance. In between this, we missed that Joey ran upstairs.
Yes.
Nick asks Blossom to dance. And then as they're dancing, Blossom says he ought to find it any second now. And then Joey runs down the stairs excited.
And I said, what is that, a Woody Allen reference? But anyways.
Apparently, it's Joey's birthday.
What is...
Which hasn't been mentioned once the entire episode.
Well, he's going for his driver's license.
Yeah, I know, but they never said that it was his birthday.
No, I realize that, but I'm doing the work for them. I completely agree with you, but it was the day he was trying to get his driver's license.
Right.
So now we have one of the biggest absolute mind f***s of this show.
What's that?
What do you mean, what's that? Explain the rest.
He comes down with the 8-ball jacket?
Yeah.
The 8-ball jacket that he was wearing in the woods the previous week?
Yeah. They messed up so badly where he got a gift of a jacket. They tried to do continuity, and I give them props for that.
Right.
They tried to have a jacket as a gift one episode that he would continue to wear in the next episode. However, this episode was so fire compared to last week's, they decided to play this one first, and nobody cared that he jumped time. Maybe he's just an idiot. Like, maybe that's the joke. You know how sometimes you give your dad a tie from his closet for Father's Day? Maybe they were just making fun of Joey for being so stupid that they just took his own jacket and wrapped it.
It wasn't even his birthday.
Gave it back to him. Probably. It ends in a really, like, underarm pitch.
Yeah, it's so random, and it was like an abrupt ending, and it was just kind of stupid, really. Nick was saying, well, it's Joey's birthday. He should have this dance with Blossom. But then Joey takes it as, yeah, don't mind if I do. And then he grabs Nick, and they dance off, and then it freeze frame, and show's over.
Yeah, I feel like Brenda and William just bailed, and they're like, I don't care. End it however you want.
Yeah, they didn't stick. I mean, for such a episode where they came out firing on all cylinders, they didn't stick the landing. But it's okay.
No, not at all.
I'll give them a pass.
They're probably like, I bet you nobody's even going to notice if we give him the jacket he was wearing last year. That's how little people are paying attention on this show, on this set here.
Exactly. Little did they know that we were going to break it down episode by episode 30 years later.
Okay. For the wool count, we have Joey at 3, Anthony 2, and Alf 1.
Amazing.
Characters in the pit. We have Agnes. We have Bobby. We have Nick's girlfriend Elaine. We have Stephanie the klepto. We have horny clarinet player. We have Doris and Adrienne. And now we have Fred.
Yes, and let's get into Fred for just a quick second here.
Go for it.
He was played by Chris Demetrol.
Rough last name.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a rape drug with Demetrol? Doesn't it knock you out?
Isn't that what's in the COVID vaccine? Another interesting thing about this actor is that he is now the third person that we've tracked on the series that will come back and then end up in the pit again as a different character.
Some of them climb out, which is fascinating.
Season 2, Episode 5, this same actor comes back as a character named Dennis.
Ooh.
And this also means nothing to anyone but me, but he played one of the older brothers in Blank Check. Have you ever seen that Disney movie, Blank Check?
I have sure not.
Oh, man. It's awesome. Tone Loc is in it.
Say no more. Jordan Taylor was Justin Whalen. I find this fascinating.
Let's hear it.
Jordan Taylor starred in Child's Play 3. And if we can go and rewind, Chris Demetrol, who played Fred, was in a fantastic movie and Child's Play ripoff that same year in 1991 called Dolly Dearest.
Really?
So for some reason, we are casting male actors who starred in horror movies with possessed dolls on episode 8 of Blossom.
It's an interesting take.
Yep. That's all I got, man.
Cool.
Just like the show, our podcast ended on a low note. After all the home runs and just decapitating blows, we end with, the 2 extra men appeared in horror movies with possessed dolls. Well, thanks for listening.
It's appropriate that we're finishing off this way. Next week, the episode is called Tough Love.
That's the worst kind of love, if you ask me.
Don't know. Don't know. Don't know.
Can we call it Blauf?
That is the worst word I have ever heard in my life. Blow.